launched on its journey to the moon. Uh, this spring, when the Artemis 2 spacecraft launched on its journey to the moon, it was carrying Christina Koch, the first person ever to edit Wikipedia from space, when she actually corrected records about one of her spacewalks across almost a year in the International Space Station in 2019. When we think about Wikipedia, we sometimes imagine it like the view from space. This is actually a visualization of Wikipedia articles around the world, this vast resource that combines the shared light of people from around the world. The English language version has over 7 million articles, and according to economists, contributes roughly $42 billion a year in consumer surplus to the US economy, despite not really costing anyone anything to read. Maybe you, like us, have asked, how is it possible for people to build something so large and grand? As a computer scientist and as a social scientist, I study what Wikipedia reveals about the potential for human cooperation. Our research helps Wikipedians worldwide understand how to organize more effectively. And in this talk, I'm going to introduce you to some basics of Wikipedia, how researchers study it, and how you can contribute to this endeavor of human cooperation through research. Every light starts with a spark, and the basic unit of collaboration on Wikipedia is a single edit to a page, something that Valentin Nefedov discovered when he was 12 years old, a bit bored at his parents' house in a village outside Lviv in Ukraine. Valentin's family's village doesn't have many photos on the internet, and Google has never sent a camera car down its roads. But this village of about 235 people did have a very small Ukrainian language Wikipedia page. And over a decade ago, a 12-year-old Valentin decided to add to that page. He got a pencil, a paper, he walked down the roads, and he counted and added this sentence. There are 42 garden societies in the village. Now, gardening is deeply important in Ukrainian society, and garden societies are a basic unit in many communities. But because there was no secondary source, there was no citation, the edit was eventually removed. Now, that didn't stop Valentin, who went on to add information about his local media station, his favorite shows, and other small fixes to Wikipedia. For scientists who study cooperation, the mystery of Wikipedia is how more than 100 million people, like Valentin, like Christina, all adding edits from small towns, from outer space, from a constellation of independent nonprofit community groups, have somehow created this extraordinary collection of knowledge that anyone can freely enjoy. Now, economists call Wikipedia a public good since it's not exclusive. And since each time a reader or a contributor becomes more knowledgeable, we all benefit. It's also peer produced. People share what they know and they get what they need. It's maybe the world's largest mutual aid circle. To illustrate how that happens, I want to talk about 3 Wikipedia pages that mean a lot to me in central New York, where I live, that each get edited by volunteers multiple times a month. The first is our bus system, which offered 2.85 million rides in 2024. The second is Cornell University, which has over 16,000 students. This photo of our New York City campus was published by a Wikipedian, which I'm very grateful for. And the third is Harriet Tubman, the 19th century abolitionist, spy, and social reformer who actually taught Sunday school at the African Methodist Episcopal Church just down the road from where I live. Some articles, like Harriet Tubman's, are viewed by hundreds of thousands of people each month, especially during this moment in the US that we call Black History Month. Cornell University gets tens of thousands of views per month, often going up and down with student interest in admissions. And our beloved bus system gets viewed about 200 to 250 times a month, but its data informs thousands of others. Whenever we ask chatbots, for example, a question about the bus, it actually links back to Wikipedia. Now, in statistics, we use distributions to illustrate the shape of participation, illustrated beautifully through these dinosaurs by my friend Temra. In this chart, you can think about the left-right axis as popularity and the up-down axis as how many articles get that number of views. Uh, Across Wikipedia, most edits happen when people document something they uniquely know and care about, like Christina's spacewalk, Valentin's village, our local bus. And these contributions are at the head of the Pareto distribution. Very few people are looking at those articles, but they're also very unique knowledge that is important for something as large as Wikipedia. And then, of course, there are a smaller number of articles that are at the tail, right? They get a very large audience because many people in the world are interested in them. And this is how human cooperation often works more broadly. On a day like today, for example, for each one of us giving a talk, there are many others who committed less visible work has made today a success. And so thank you to all of the organizers. Now, Bastian and I work together at the Citizens and Technology Lab at Cornell, where we work alongside the public to test the social impacts of digital technologies and discover effective ideas for change. And over the years, we've worked very closely with many Wikipedians around the world, including a group that organizes photographs from African contributors. You may have heard about Wiki Loves Monuments or Wiki Loves Africa yesterday. Uh, as you know, many of the most important people and stories aren't yet included in Wikipedia, especially from the majority world. And Wiki Loves Africa works to change that by organizing communities in countries like in these photos, Sudan, Tanzania, and Cote d'Ivoire, to contribute photographs to stories about African contexts. And in 2019, we worked with Wiki Loves Africa. And in fact, Wiki in Africa, one of the groups that's helping out with this summer school, on a simple randomized trial. We took the list of people who contributed previously. We sorted them by how recently they'd participated, randomly assigned them to a treatment and a control group to receive reminders about the new competition, and then observed if they contributed photos in 2019. The reason this mattered is that detail of how Wikipedia is designed made communities unsure if the messaging were reaching people or it had any effect at all. And the simplest way to find out was to try. And so we found that overall, past contestants were 1.2 percentage points more likely to re-enter the competition if they received a talk page recruitment message. In this particular chart, orange if they didn't get the invitation, and blue are the rates if they did get the invitation. For the previous year's participants, who were more likely to re-enter regardless, the effects was actually larger, with 2.7 percentage points more return photographers. That might seem like a very small effect, but the simple message helped recruit 70 experienced former contributors across numerous countries to add photos, as well as support and mentor first-time photographers. Our experience led to over 2,000 more photographs that wouldn't have been published that year otherwise, and it yielded recruitment insights used by other projects around the world. So the first lesson from our research on Wikipedia about cooperation is to support everyone, welcome people with unique perspectives. Sometimes, however, something you care about becomes popular whether you like it or not. This is what Valentin and millions of other Ukrainians experienced in February 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine in a war that still sadly continues. One thing Valentin remembers about that day is that he was the person who created the Ukrainian Wikipedia article for the invasion, a page that hundreds of thousands of people still look to for accurate information about the war. Here's what the day of the invasion looks like in the data on Ukrainian Wikipedia. On the top, we see the chart of views, and on the bottom, we see the chart of active contributors over time. In views, they increased substantially once the invasion began, but active contributors declined as their lives were disrupted. Valentin and I are working together to study how the Ukrainian Wikipedia organized to meet this demand. And I actually owe him an email later this week. This brings us to a second question. Can you trust an encyclopedia that anyone can edit during a conflict when lives are at stake? Can you trust a resource that opposing sides have a chance to shape? Valentin told me about a debate in 2023 about how to describe a man who was president of Ukraine before the war. Some people used the word oligarch to describe him, and other people disagreed. On Wikipedia, anyone can click on the talk link to debate what should go onto the page, and they did. There was a very big debate. Eventually, Valentin stepped in. The community's goal is a neutral page with the most reliable information from public sources. So he suggested that they list all of the arguments about how to call this politician. They included what the media said about him. They included what Poroshenko himself says. They reported what Ukrainians say in polls. Even when people disagreed on this one issue, they still agreed that a good encyclopedia would mention reliable information from all sides. And this language continues on the site for years. And Valentin's question was the starting point for a paper by Feng Shi and colleagues to find out whether political diversity on Wikipedia did actually result in higher quality articles, especially because there's great incentive for misinformation and conflict online. To study this, Shi and colleagues looked at articles in the US about politics and asked, are there distinct groups on Wikipedia based on politics? Are some articles edited more by partisans, on people on one side, than others? And are articles with more diverse editors higher quality or not? Now, the first thing they needed to do was to find a measure of the political leaning of an author. And that's tough, because, they couldn't necessarily ask all of the editors. Now, if they could guess or infer whether an editor was more liberal or conservative, that would allow them to calculate the diversity of a group of editors and whether they were very similar in leaning or very different in their politics. And the problem is that we can't, observe someone's political beliefs or commitments very directly. So they needed to do what they could to take observations and infer from those observations what someone's politics might be, or what they specialize in their editing. They labeled US politics Wikipedia articles for whether those articles were more left or right leaning. And then they computed for each editor the relative proportion of liberal or conservative articles that they edit. So if this person only edits articles about liberal topics, they put them more on one side, and if they only edit articles about conservative topics, they would put them on the other side. And they created this measure of what we might call political specialization. Now, this has a certain amount of bias and error, but they concluded that it was close enough for their purposes among people who edit politics articles in the US. And in fact, they ended up surveying people to see exactly how much error there was in that measure. Now, once they had this measure of political specialization, they were able to describe the distribution of editors who contributed to politics articles overall. They found that many editors have diverse expertise, where they're editing on the right and on the left. Some other editors focus on only one area of knowledge, and sometimes on opposing sides of a political disagreement. For example, some people only edit pages for politicians from one party, and they don't edit pages about a different party. Using this information, it's possible to then describe an article by whether it's edited by people just on one side, by people in the middle, or by people with different focuses. And this is exactly what they did. They applied this kind of analysis to articles in science, politics, and social issues across English Wikipedia. For each article, they looked at whether the editors specialized in writing about the right or about the left. And in those cases, the dot for the article would be more on the right of the chart or the left of the chart. If contributors to the article had more diverse or even opposing expertise, what they called polarized, the dot would be placed in the middle, right? If you have 10 people and 5 of them only edit on the right, the other 5 edit on the left, then on this chart, the number of editors, with the vertical axis would be 10, and the range of focus would be 0 because they balance each other out. But if you have an article that has 10 editors and only people on the right are editing them, then it ends up on one side of the chart because the range of focus is lower. And so this chart shows the plotted alignment of editors against the number of people who contributed to the article. And they found that popular articles with more editors attract more diverse or polarized conflicting contributors that actually balance each other out, while less popular articles tend to attract more specialists. Next, they study the relationship between editor diversity and article quality. In this chart, articles further to the right are higher quality, and articles higher on the chart have more diverse or polarized editors. And on average, the researchers found that articles with more editor diversity are considered higher quality by the Wikipedia community. And that's the second lesson from the science of Wikipedia. Diversity and disagreement can make something better, even if it takes some debate to get there. Now, of course, that was just looking at the English language Wikipedia and US politics, and that might not be true everywhere. So that's definitely an area for more study. Managing these disagreements, however, takes a lot of work, and it's just one of the kinds of tasks Valentin took on in his role as a leader. As the war in Ukraine continued, people who lost loved ones looked to Wikipedia as a place to share their memories. But these memorials often violate Wikipedia's rules. You can imagine if someone's writing down the personal details of a person who's been captured in battle, that could generate very real risks for their families. And that means that someone has the unpleasant task of telling a contributor that their article about a loved one is going to be deleted. And that task falls on Wikipedia's leaders, a role held by Valentin. Instead of just deleting the pages, however, Valentin wanted to remove them in the kindest way possible. So he developed a protocol. When removing memorial pages, he explained Wikipedia's rules and why the memorial was in violation of them. He provided information about where they could share memorials, and importantly, he passed along his condolences. But that wasn't all. In addition to this protocol, Valentin also contributed to an article with tips for people who might consider adding memorials. Guides like these can help reduce the risk of people experiencing the pain of deletion on top of the pain of losing their loved one to war. And that brings us to a third question. What kind of leadership is needed to sustain trustworthy cooperation? And there's real concern about this question. In the largest Wikipedias, like the English language Wikipedia shown in these charts, we can see that while new pages keep getting added, that's the left chart, the number of new pages over time, the number of editors has not remained at the high level that Wikipedia experienced when it was new 20 years ago. So Wikipedia gets bigger and bigger and bigger, but the number of people who are trying to manage it all remains the same. And there are many reasons that that could be. One possibility is that when people care deeply about a topic, the conversations can get heated, people have arguments, and sometimes people are rude, disrespectful, aggressive, or make personal accusations. A group of researchers found that roughly 1 in 100 of the people who participate in public discussions, those talk page debates, roughly 1 in 100 leave a toxic comment towards someone else, or at least have done that at least once in their time on Wikipedia. It's rare, but it's common enough to make a difference. This chart is an illustration from a paper trying to understand the impact of toxic comments on editor activity. It's just a snapshot, but it does a nice job of visualizing what happens after that occurs. So the red triangles illustrate, and I want to make sure I get this right, the red triangles illustrate a toxic comment in a conversation, whereas the blue dots are people's contributions to a discussion. Not everyone responds to one of these toxic comments in the same way. At the top, one person gets a toxic comment, but they just keep on editing Wikipedia. But at the bottom, someone who was editing pretty consistently actually needed a break after receiving a toxic comment. They stop editing for a while and they come back. And then there are people who receive a first or second attack or toxic comment, and then they just stop contributing to Wikipedia overall. And when the authors looked at how this plays out, they found that toxic comments consistently reduce activity between 1.5 to 2 active days. And it makes sense. Someone's unkind to you or cruel or mean or aggressive. You need a break, and maybe you come back, maybe you don't. Uh, Now, these impacts are not distributed equally. Studies of English Wikipedia have found that women editors engage more in what's known as emotional labor, the work it takes to manage your own emotions and those of others. So, for example, women editors have described avoiding work that could result in conflict and describe being the targets of online abuse. But they persevere because contributing to Wikipedia is important to them. While these problems aren't fully resolved, there's a group of people who take on special leadership responsibilities within their language and globally to help manage these issues. People like Valentin. These leaders play a variety of roles. They wield the ban hammer, which allows them to ban or unban users, delete or undelete pages, and apply protections to pages that are undergoing particular pressure. And with the ban hammer, leaders fight trolls and incivility and conflict. They're also builders. They develop tools that automate some of the work required to tackle vandalism and help make Wikipedia more trustworthy. And there's a lot of research opportunity in helping grow those tools. Importantly, they're also gardeners. They help Wikipedia grow by giving editors feedback and helping them resolve conflicts. This often requires a lot of empathy and emotional labor, just like we saw in that story with Valentin. So our third lesson from Wikipedia is that effective cooperation requires care, and that can be hard work. When I talked with Valentin, he remarked that if people only hear about the hard work, they might not want to volunteer. So I asked him what makes him feel proud and fulfilled. Valentin told me about the community, times when people trusted him with questions, moments when he could mentor younger people to get started, and all the people he's met around the world who care about free knowledge. And this is a question not just for Wikipedia, but for us all. What can we do about it? Several years ago, Cat Lab's Julia Kamen, Max Klein, and I met with a group of community leaders to imagine interventions to sustain participation on Wikipedia. When Wikipedia has created a feature for thanking people for their contributions, they hope to encourage a welcoming culture and also provide a way to encourage contributors to keep volunteering. There is this feature on Wikipedia that if you look at the history of a page, it'll show you each of the people who contributed to that article. And if you're logged in, there's a little button that you can click to thank that person for their contribution. And by the time we started our research, Wikipedians were sending nearly 70,000 of these private messages to contributors per month. Now, leaders in the movement wanted to know, how can this exchange of appreciation help grow and sustain Wikipedia? To answer their question, it's important to think about the structure of exchange on Wikipedia. Scientists often study gratitude in terms of what they call direct reciprocity. You help someone, they thank you, and that appreciation includes a promise of further help between individuals. I'm sure you've all been in this situation where you and another person are very close and you owe each other things as a result. Scientists also study indirect reciprocity, where a person does something and receives public praise that grows their reputation, with the expectation that other people will help them in the future. If you get an award or a recognition or a degree, that's indirect reciprocity. And then in upstream reciprocity, people help others and express thanks without any expectation of direct value in return, knowing that other people will be helped. And that's what Wikipedia is often like. You don't know who will benefit from your contributions. And when you thank someone privately on Wikipedia, it's part of a system of this upstream appreciation. And when leaders asked about the effectiveness of their thanks feature, They were really asking about upstream appreciation. There are other ways of like rewarding people publicly that you get on Wikipedia as well. So to study the effects of receiving thanks, we organized a group of hundreds of volunteers across 4 different language Wikipedias and built a list of people whose edits were especially worthy of thanks. And then in a randomized trial, volunteers used our app to send thanks to over 2,700 newcomers and experienced editors alike. We then waited to see what happened over the following months. The study is still under review, but in our preliminary results across all languages for both newcomers and experienced accounts, people who received thanks remained active Wikipedians for longer periods of time and also spent more time making edits. So, kind of the opposite effect of what was seen with these toxic comments. And we also discovered something very powerful about gratitude that applies beyond Wikipedia. It spreads. People assigned to receive thanks went on to send 61% more thanks to other people, usually to someone new. In fact, in more than 99% of times, it was to someone who'd not previously thanked them. So sending someone appreciation causes them to share a culture of gratitude further to others. So even when things are hard, relationships, community, and gratitude can sustain cooperation over time. Now, how does research like this actually make a difference in the world? As scientists, we contribute knowledge to journals and we share the results with our students, and we hope also that our findings improve people's lives in some way. Here are some lessons from Wikipedia on how this work can make a difference. First, because Wikimedia is a movement and not a company, some of the most influential outcomes of our work happen through the local institutions. I'm very envious that you get to spend time with people from regional Wikimedia chapters. Uh, those are often some of the best conversations I have. But also museums, libraries, governments, and regional funders. I'll say a little bit more later this week about some of the ways that those institutions get involved. Also, each language Wikipedia has something called a village pump and other resources where the community can read and discuss your work. So it's worth posting there as well. Next, there's a global movement of researchers who study Wikipedia. We have a mailing list. There's an annual conference, the annual Wiki Workshop, and the global Wikimedia movement, who can be reached through this newsletter, the Wikimedia signpost. There's a Wikimedia research newsletter, which I believe was in the links in yesterday's talk. There's the annual Wikimania conference. It's happening in Paris right now. Sad I can't be there, but next year we'll be in Chile. And then finally, sometimes it's possible for the Wikimedia Foundation to adopt findings from research. When they see the results of our findings, they sometimes change how the core software or organizing works. And sometimes I think it's on pause right now, but there's often a monthly Wikimedia research showcase um, where new research is shared. And it can be helpful to find the person in the foundation who works on the issue you take on, someone who you can often find by posting to the Village Pump. So to scientists, Wikipedia is more than an encyclopedia. It's a way for humanity to learn more about our collective potential. And what we learned from the science of Wikipedia is that cooperation depends on unique perspectives. Diversity and disagreement may be hard, but they can make things better. And cooperation is sustained through care and sparked and tended through gratitude we share with each other. There are things that are deeply practical that make a difference in our world, and also discoveries that we can make about ourselves and humans in basic science by studying Wikipedia. And I hope that as you develop research ideas and research projects, that some of these examples, and as well as the practical research tips that Bastian will be sharing, end up being helpful to you and your teams. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Nathan. That's a very beautiful presentation, and you opened my eyes to a lot of things. How you were able to do some findings and arrive at some conclusion. Here in 6 Nigeria, Uyo, we developed a slogan that give us the proof of data for every word you say to us. Yeah. So I like the way data is used to arrive at most of your conclusion in your research, and we hope to see how we can train our participants to achieve that same level of proficiency. Thank you very much. We appreciate. Thank you very much. So I want to believe we are listening to Bastian now, right?
I don't know, shall we, like Nathan, first take questions for you if there are any before we go into the practical things? That's
Okay.
maybe
Yes.
That's a
easier.
that's a good idea.
Yes. We want to get questions from our participants, both online and in-house. So get our questions. Anybody have a question for Professor Nathan? You can react in respect to some of the findings that they were able to make. First of all, for me, I was actually captivated by the presentation on the Russian war, and I saw the picture that was posted. I believe that was to show the event at that time, and I think that happened in what year again, please? 2022. So,
2022.
okay, 2022. So, was it the Wikimedia Commons that gathered that image?
Yeah, so I can go back and I can share, I'll share in the chat or the WhatsApp the source.
Okay,
So there are a few different, as you might imagine, the Wikipedia community is very excited by data as well.
okay,
So one of the cool things is that um, Wikipedia volunteers will often create their own data tools to help them do the work and volunteering that they do. And so it's often possible for researchers to learn from and use the data tools that the movement has already created. And so to create that particular uh, slide with the number of views and also the active contributors, I just had to go online to view some of the existing data tools that the community had already produced because they have dashboards and metrics for those things already in the community. And that can also often be a very good way for developing initial ideas about a hypothesis because people have already created some of that data. And in the case of my conversation with Valentin, he as a organizer was very aware of the trends because in Ukraine, in the Ukrainian language Wikipedia, they're trying to maintain participation, and so they really worried about that question of how to keep Wikipedia going when, some of his friends and his fellow editors were being conscripted into the army and no longer had time to edit articles. And so it was that conversation with Valentin that helped me realize this was an important issue. And then we worked together to look at the data sources that Wikipedians already had created. But I'll see if I can dig up. I think I cite in the slides the specific sources for those charts, and I'll see if I can send them over later today in the chat.
okay. We did appreciate that. Then another thing captivated me. Another thing captivated me. I was trying to look at the methodology, just like I was sharing with our participants here in Nigeria. That for every story that we hear, it's
Is
cool.
the font big enough?
Um, well, okay, no, that is from here. It's from here.
Otherwise, I can make it a bit bigger.
Yeah, you can increase the font that zoom out. Yes, thank you.
There we go. So hopefully that
Online is
works.
fine.
So I will maybe also put into the chat the materials in case people have not yet been given access to them. Oops. There you go. So these will be the whole materials that like for the more practical teaching where you like where we will now walk through like just very slowly in a way by just like looking at them, but they include all the code that you can run yourself later on to reproduce and to get familiar with the Wikipedia APIs or the Wikimedia APIs and so on. But before diving into that a bit more in detail, I just wanted to give like a brief reminder and hints about like what Wikipedia is, what Wikidata is, what the data contains, and so on. And I think we've already heard quite a bit about like the norms of Wikipedia and its sister projects and how they work. And just to remind, like Wikipedia sees itself as resting on these 5 pillars that are shared between all the different Wikipedia projects, regardless of the language in a way. And that's that Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. So there's a clear objective of what people want to achieve by contributing to Wikipedia. And as a result of being an encyclopedia, to some extent, it should be written from a neutral point of view that represents information unbiased, fairly, like all the things that Nathan like nicely pointed out in the example of the person in Ukraine, whether they are an oligarch or not. So they try to like have a neutral point of view representing those different views. Then importantly, Wikipedia is free content that anyone can use, edit, and distribute as they want. And Wikipedia editors, so the people contributing to Wikipedia, should treat each other with respect and civility. But most importantly, the last thing is Wikipedia has no firm rules. And that means that these rules that Wikipedia has are up for editing them, changing them, refining them. And that also means that the rules of Wikipedia are different between different projects. That means also between different language editions of Wikipedia. So each different language edition of Wikipedia is governed by a different community of contributors. And as a result, the norms differ between these communities and they are not the same. So if you know the rules for the English language Wikipedia, that does not necessarily one-to-one translate into the German one or the French one or the Spanish one. And like a big example of that is like which pages are noteworthy enough to be included. So there's like a notability criteria that you need to fulfill in order to like as a person to have a biography in Wikipedia. And there is a notorious clash of cultures that exists in Wikipedia between different language communities, whether they are more inclusionist or exclusionist, or also called deletionist, where, like, for example, the German language Wikipedia is quite famous for being deletionist because they have a very high standard of how notable you need to be before a person can get a biography page in Wikipedia, which is higher than in the English language one. So that's just one example to show like how these different norms change. And the English language Wikipedia has a page that's called Contributing to Wikipedia, which can help outline the norms of the different language editions. And as you can see in the screenshot here, like these pages exist for many, many different languages, whether that's in Spanish, French, Esperanto, and many, many other languages. So you can go, if you want to like understand the boundaries of Wikipedia and how Wikipedia, like the norms of a language edition, you can go to these equivalent pages to understand like what those are. Then the next thing to mention is, of course, and I think the Wikimedians yesterday already talked about the importance of research ethics when researching Wikipedia. And the Wikimedia Foundation and Wikipedia themselves have a number of guides that can help you understand how to ethically do research on Wikipedia, including this page that's called Researching Wikipedia, and more importantly, also ethically researching Wikipedia. And of course, there is also your own local like research ethics norms that say how you might need to get ethics approval or not for your research, depending on whether you're doing interventive research, so that's considering human subjects and so on. And it's a bit out of scope of what we can cover here, but just to say, all of these regular research ethics do apply as well beyond like the particular norms of Wikipedia. Then the next thing to keep in mind before we like work with the data is like the idea of participation inequality. And if you are not too familiar with like online communities and the dimensions or how people work with it, you might assume that as many other phenomena, these things follow a normal distribution where contributions are normally distributed. But in virtually no online community, that's the case. And Wikipedia is also an example of this, that there is a strong participation inequality in which the vast majority of the editing is done by a very small group of highly active editors. This has also been called the 1% rule or the 1990 rule. And as I said, it's been found in basically any online community in which content of any form is produced collaboratively or in a crowdsourced manner or user-generated content that includes jihadist forums, online support groups, and social networks. And the idea is that it's really 1% of the users who are the most active creators that create most of the content. Then you have like a smaller group of contributors who do make some edits and make smaller contributions that fill up like some more of like the available content. But the vast majority of people consume content and they don't really create anything. And the same holds true for Wikipedia as well. These are what it's often called the lurkers. And so if you want to do statistical analysis of Wikipedia, you need to keep in mind that like these things are not normally distributed. You will find some power user who are very active, who do a lot of editing, and they will influence like your outcomes quite drastically in that sense. Then another thing about statistics is about missing data in Wikipedia and Wikidata. So pages that are not deemed relevant enough or notable enough to be in Wikipedia will not appear in the data that you can get using the most regular Wikidata or Wikipedia mechanisms. So this means you cannot differentiate between pages that have never existed in the first place because no one created it, or pages that were created but then later on deleted because they were not notable enough to be included in Wikipedia in a given language edition. And there are some ways around this. I believe that if you really need this data, the Wikimedia Foundation like has some like backup data that can be accessed, but it's not publicly accessible, and you would need to request access for this if your research requires seeing which pages in a way don't survive the community selection process. And also the other thing is that in different language editions, we have these different criteria of which pages are notable enough and which ones aren't. So pages might exist in some languages, but not others. So a biography of a person might be existing in the French Wikipedia, but not in the German one, and also not in the English one, or vice versa. And partially, again, that's because of these different norms of who is notable enough, but also because Wikipedia is written by volunteers, even people who are in principle notable enough and who are relevant enough to be in Wikipedia might not yet or might never even have like an article on Wikipedia because no volunteer has written one. And lastly, we'll later like talk a bit about Wikidata. And Wikidata includes items that describe people, even if they are not notable enough in any language edition to have a Wikipedia article. So for example, I'm not represented on any language Wikipedia because I'm not notable enough for an encyclopedia, but I have like a Wikidata item that describes me and like different things about my work and so on, because apparently I'm notable enough for that one. So keep in mind that there's like also different projects have different aspects there.
Okay, sorry to cut you. I think I would like to see that later because I actually have an ambition to have a representation, but if I can have a work that represents my work, my profile too, be good. So maybe later I can show us
And
that. Yeah.
yeah, thanks. And I see that Nathan put in the chat that he thinks I am notable enough. So then maybe it's a matter of finding someone who has no conflict of interest to write an article. That's very hard to do at some point as well. As if there's too many people engaged in Wikipedia, they're not allowed to write a biography about you if they know you personally.
Okay.
Shall we go on?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Then like one other thing to think about, we've like talked about like people editing Wikipedia and how to measure edits in Wikipedia is not really trivial as well, because if you just count the number of edits people make, those are not a reliable measure of the amount of effort a person put into editing Wikipedia. And that's on a very basic level because it just counts how often you press the save button on a Wikipedia page. And so if I just fix a typo or like add like a missing comma somewhere, that counts the same if I only press save once as a person who writes a whole new page somewhere else and then copy and paste it into Wikipedia and presses save once. And people's editing behavior differs. Some people like to make many small edits. Some people also like do regular like saves of pages between editions because they want to be sure they don't get lost. And some people, as I said, prefer writing large parts somewhere else and then just copy and paste it at the end into Wikipedia in the interface and save it. So just counting how often people have clicked save is not a good proxy for their activity. And as an alternative method, one can actually calculate the amount of text an edit adds or removes to a page. And the Wikipedia APIs actually provide this information as well in the revisions. So you can look at how much content was added or removed from a page in a given edit once a person clicked save. But of course, even that can be not like completely trivial because people could, in theory, add as much content as they remove. And so like the number of like a change might look very, very small because it could even be basically zero if you just like remove as much text as you edited. So just to keep in mind, like looking at like how people edit, it's not trivial to do necessarily by just looking at numbers. Then there's another thing that we need to think about is what is an account on Wikipedia? So Wikipedia does offer user accounts, but for many pages, you don't even need a user account to edit them. You just go to the page, click the edit button on the top, to submit your edit. And when you save it in the past, it would just save your IP address so that people could see like from where this edit was made. But today this has been replaced by having temporary accounts, which just get like a random username that's based on the current date effectively. So not everyone on Wikipedia has an account and people can anonymously edit for many pages. That's one thing that's good to keep in mind. Also, edits don't have to be made by humans directly. Wikipedia has quite a big ecosystem of bots, and that's not the type of bots that you might think about in the context of social media, where often it's like we think about misinformation campaigns and things like this, but rather bots that make simple edits on Wikipedia to support the human editors. And these bots are made by human users, obviously, but it's for things that like need to be done very often. Like an example would be fixing citations. For example, there's like a standard way of adding citations in Wikipedia, whether the reference comes before or after the final period of a sentence. And if an editor gets this wrong, a bot might come in and just flip this around if it was done wrong, or fix a spelling mistake that happens regularly, things like this. So it's like automated edits based on like a consensus that these are like edits that should be done in Wikipedia. And lastly, there's the things that we need to keep in mind is that like people might operate more than one account if this is declared publicly. Like having an account that's a bot that's run by a human could be an example. And another would be that having like different accounts, for example, to differentiate private and professional work. So I'm an editor of Wikipedia personally, and I use my personal account, like if I edit Wikipedia as a volunteer. But when I edit a page for Wikipedia as part, for example, of this course to like add information about the courses we've been giving about Wikipedia, then I use an account that's like connected more to my professional persona in a way to say this was done not in my role as a volunteer, but as someone that actually like works on like a Wikipedia related topic as a researcher, and to keep these things apart. But as I said, the important thing is that like it needs to be declared properly so that people don't accuse people of what's called in Wikipedia the sock puppetry, where someone creates like many different accounts and then as a sock puppet just like keep talking for themselves multiple times. And then that brings us to the last bit of like this brief intro, which is about the considerations for how you can access data from Wikipedia. And I know the Wikimedia folks yesterday have already talked a bit about all the different ways, so we don't need to go into like a lot of detail here, but there is like the different APIs you can use. There's also read-only database mirrors, and there are the whole dumps of all the articles that you can download as big files. And they differ both in how you access the data from it, but also the types of data they contain. And of course, depending on like which like data set you use, it depends a bit like what type of resources you need. Like the accessing data the text via the API, for example, is really not computationally heavy and it's doable on most consumer devices. So your laptop will be just fine for accessing data from the API and work with it. And as long as you don't query like too much data, storing it is very easy and so on. In contrast, if you want to download the full dumps of Wikipedia, then all of a sudden it becomes like a couple of gigabytes of data that you need to download, which first of all takes some time, but also then you need to have the storage to actually like store the data and more importantly also process this data, which can again take a good bit of time. So for example, in an open source project that I contribute to, we are currently working with like the full dumps of Wikipedia in a couple of languages and just like the simple processing to extract the information we need I think it takes around 4 hours, the job that I started just this morning. And then the last bit that we will actually work with the most in this course is the Jupyter Notebook environment that's called Pause, which is offered by Wikimedia, the foundation, in like their online infrastructure. So this means you can just use your web browser to access the Wikipedia APIs. It all runs on the servers of the Wikimedia Foundation. So your resources are very, very low because you just need a web browser. You don't need to install and configure any of the libraries you might otherwise need. And even if your internet connection is not stable, that's not really a problem because it runs on the Wikimedia infrastructure and it will continue running in a sense until you reconnect your browser to it. But the only limitation of this is that we will like talk about once again later, is that like all of this code is publicly accessible. So the notebooks that you write in the pause system are publicly accessible for other users of the system as well, or at least visible. Then the last bit we need to also keep in mind when we use the APIs is that Wikimedia now starts enforcing rate limits on the use of its API. Unfortunately, that was necessary because they've been under quite a bit of load from AI scrapers that like try to get all the information out of Wikipedia. And because of this quite abusive use of the Wikimedia infrastructure, now they enforce this. And how big those rate limits are depends on the level of authentication. So if you're not logging in at all into the APIs, the rate limits are very low. And if you have a Wikipedia account and you have been using it for a while, you are like an automatically extended user, I think is the user right name, then you get like higher limitations on using it. And so for like many things, like using the pause system as like a logged in user can be very, very good. And there's a list of all the different options on the Meta Wiki that's linked here as well. So if you want to get started into looking into different ways of accessing data from Wikipedia, there's many different ways. So that's just to go over the general idea of how like what to keep in mind and how you can get data out of Wikipedia. And now we will get into a bit more detail about how to access data from Wikipedia. But maybe before doing that, is there any questions from your side currently? Feel free
Okay.
to put it in the chat, chime in.
For the online participants, do you have any question, anybody? Okay. In-house participants, anybody have question? Okay. Well, I just want to appreciate some of the knowledge you have. Okay, there's a hand. Okay, Osapolo, please can you unmute yourself and speak? Osapolo, you are raising your hand. You want to speak? You're muted, in case you don't know. Okay. So, Bastian.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, okay. She was just appreciating. Okay, I just wanted to mention when you were talking about the basics of data access to basic of data access to wiki data. You know, I can relate to what you're saying in case our participant doesn't know, because you emphasized on the feature where you can run on the wiki infrastructure. I'm not sure the participants understand the importance of that, because while trying to pull the Wikipedia dump, first of all, just for everybody that is online, if you attempt to do that, you'll see that the Wikipedia dump is about 23.5 gigabytes, first of all. So if you relate that to Nigerian network bandwidth, you know the challenge to download that. And after doing that, for you to use it, it comes as a BZ2 files or BZ2 extension file. If you attempt to unzip that or decompress that, it will become about 100 gig file. So you can imagine you running with an 100 gig data set on your PC and you want to do analysis. So I'm just mentioning that so you can appreciate what Bastian is saying when he's saying that you can run your data and do the infrastructure on the wiki platform. So I just want to mention that.
Thanks. That's
Yes,
that's
yes.
really good
In that case, I was supposed to mention that in my presentation, but don't worry, I'm still going over it. So Bastian is moving already. Yeah, say thank you very much. So we can continue.
Thanks. Yeah. So we will
Okay,
now
sorry. Sorry, someone has a
go
question
ahead.
here.
Okay, I have thank you, Bastian. I it's quite educative and informative. Can you hear me?
That's okay.
Speak a bit louder, please. It's not so easy to hear.
Okay, thank you, Bastian.
That's great.
Space, but imagining
I think we lost
in
either
terms of
my connection or the room.
north-south.
Okay, you lost connection at some point. Can you hear us now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay. I said my concern basically has to do with the percentage with regards to contribution and consumption. So if I'm clear, less than about 10 or less than 1%, 1% makes the contribution, 90% makes the consumption, and I try to liken it to what happens in agrarian society, where a minute percentage of the society basically feed the rest of the society. And trying to juxtapose this with the global north, global south divide. I don't have the data. We'll be dealing with data here, but I want to imagine that we have more contributors from the global north. I hope to be surprised. So, what's happening with regards to I admit that part of the reason for this presentation could also be so that you have more persons contribute amongst other beyond the issues of access to data. So how is the community trying to get more volunteers? So the issue of 1%, is it sustainable going forward? And that's basically my concern, especially more contribution from the global south.
Thank you very much. Pastor, I don't know if you get that.
Yeah, I think that's it's a very important point, and I think it's an ongoing struggle for like Wikipedia as well as many other like open knowledge communities, how to get more people to contribute. And I think locally, like yesterday, like activities like the local like Wikimedia, like Wikimedians in Nigeria, like are working very actively like to recruit people to like help them onboard onto becoming editors and contributors to Wikipedia. And we see the same in like many other countries. So like at the Six Kenya last month, we had like the Wikimedia Kenya user group who does the same. They organize workshops. They get people to understand how Wikipedia works and to help people, get into the community to contribute and to become editors. At the same time, like, of course, it's an ongoing challenge that like contributing to things like Wikipedia takes time and effort, and not everyone has the same amount of spare time they can dedicate and to becoming contributors. Even if people are interested in editing and in contributing, there's a certain level of privilege you need to have the ability to actually do it. And so I think that's I guess a continuous ongoing question. I don't know, Nathan, if you have more insights on that from the Wikimedia side as well, or if any of the local Wikimedians want to expand on that.
I'll be sharing more later this week on that topic, but I imagine the local Wikimedians have really helpful insights and might be able to share more in this moment if they have a second.
Okay,
Yeah.
they're asking if you have any insights on how to balance the divide in the percentage. I don't know if you get that. So they would want you to share. They would like to hear.
I also didn't have a chance to notice who was in the room, so if they're not here this morning, that's okay too.
No, they are with us.
Okay, so one of the issues that we have in
Can you hear him?
system.
Can you hear what he's saying?
I think it would be better with the microphone. It's a bit quiet.
Okay, one of the challenges that we have is the issue of volunteer retention and support. There are a lot of, and also editor engagement. There are a lot of knowledge gaps to be bridged, and having to find people who will be committed to actually contribute, because a large population now, we do not want to do something that they're not going to get some, incentive, remuneration, or a very green light, in quotes. So it's a challenge actually getting people who contribute. But then we still have outreach events, like starting from universities and other institutions, try to reach out to students in these institutions, organize trainings for them, so that way they get interested and want to contribute. As well, there are other partnership structures that we built in place with some institutions as well. So that way we get to build that collaboration, train some of the staff members, if not all, and then they also become contributors. We try to target like specific industries, education, health, governance. Currently, I think we're trying to build a tool that will be able to monitor election and give real data and factual as well in real time. So that's one of the projects that I'm actually working on, as we are approaching the Nigerian elections in 2027. So there are a lot of outreach events that are going on, even virtually too as well. We have virtual trainings where people will be able to come together and then that way we hope. And also there are also technologies that are already in place currently to gamify the technology where as you play a game, the game is based on Wikipedia's data, articles, and Wikidata's data. So at the back end level, we pump articles and data, but to you is like a game you're playing. But then by interacting, by playing that game, you're interacting with the articles and wiki data, and that way it might spark your interest to become a contributor as well. So the different outreaches that we're doing and opportunities that are open to even more people to get into this.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so I think you get it, Bastian. In fact, his contribution further opened my eyes among no, that's the truth. I try to get deeper insight to what people say. So among all limitations, the biggest limitation is the knowledge gap, and you cannot force knowledge on anyone except those that have been trained for it and have trained themselves for it. So only those that are trained for it or have trained themselves for it can be a contributor. And the space we are talking about is a professional space to some extent, not absolutely professional, but we have fewer people in the world today that are into technology. So I think to some extent that gap of the creator and the lookers is somewhat justified. So that's it.
Thanks. Yeah, that's so it's a tricky problem, let's say, how to get more people engaged. It has many different facets, and as Nathan said, there will be like another example where like also just access to broadband internet is like another factor that has been studied actually, that will be shared like I think on Thursday.
Okay.
And then if you want, we can continue like looking now a bit at like how to like get basic data out of the Wikipedia like through the different APIs. And there's like three, so like I think also yesterday the Wikimedians mentioned, just to like briefly repeat this, is that like Wikipedia, the software it runs is called MediaWiki, which like powers like all the different wiki projects that the Wikimedia Foundation runs, including many non-Wikimedia projects. Like there's, for example, in biology, like wiki pathways for biochemical pathways. Like in Germany, patients are using the same software to create a knowledge base on topics that would not fit into Wikipedia, but that they find relevant to like aggregate knowledge about their disease, or like a citizen science Wikipedia like project based on MediaWiki for collecting information about N of 1 studies done by citizens. And all of these have the same MediaWiki APIs that like you can interact with. And for Wikipedia in particular, there's like three big classes of APIs that have different use cases. So Wikimedia, the foundation, runs its own REST API, which is very, very fast to access and very easy to access, but it's basically designed for getting machine readable output out of the current live pages. So it's if you want to like use Wikipedia content more to display it elsewhere, like Google does, like at the top of like search results of like here's the summary of a Wikipedia article, then using the MediaWiki REST API is like a way to like get this information. But this also means it's a bit less relevant for research because you cannot get any longitudinal differences from this API. Then there's MediaWiki, the software itself has like a REST API as well, so it's present in all the MediaWiki APIs, MediaWiki installations, and you can get data out of it both in HTML format and JSON. And again, it's mostly for getting very like simple data very quickly. And as such, it's like not for many research questions, not ideal. And lastly, there is what's called the MediaWiki Action API. And this is the same API that also many of the bots that we've just talked about earlier are using, because not only can you access data from Wikipedia, you can even submit and edit data in Wikipedia and send it back into Wikipedia. So as such, it has it's the most powerful way to access data from Wikipedia, which doesn't require downloading the whole database, because you can get the edit histories of pages. You can do searches across the database. You can find like the information about users and their editing history and many more details. And that's why for this course, we will now be using the MediaWiki Action API. And luckily for us, because it's such a central part of the wiki ecosystem, there is like a Python library that's called the PyWikiBot, which is actually co-maintained by the technology team of the Wikimedia Foundation, because they are using it themselves for many things. And as such, it's very, very feature-rich, powerful, and it's very like able to like get this information that researchers might want out of the Wikimedia APIs. And as I said earlier, like you can like set it up locally if you want it, install it on your computers, but more importantly, we can also use it in this online system, Pause, where you get like an online Jupyter Hub ecosystem where it's already pre-installed, it's pre-configured, and you don't need to install anything locally, and you don't need to download all the data and so on. So we will just jump basically directly to that part using pause. So the pause ecosystem, as I said, like they provide you compute resources, and it includes one CPU core to compute on, 2 gigabytes of RAM, and 5 gigabytes of online storage, which should be like enough for many like research projects if you are interested in accessing data about certain research topics, or like whether that's like users or the Wikipedia pages around a given topic. And the nice thing is it uses the single user Wikimedia account. So if you already have made yesterday maybe your own Wikipedia or MediaWiki account, you can reuse the same account to log in into Pause, and you don't need to make another account. And the other benefit is that by using Pause, you not only have to install anything, but because you authenticate using your Wikipedia account and it's running on the Wikimedia servers, like the rate limits for the APIs are on the one hand automatically honored, so you never run into an API limit where you try to access too much data and it stops. And the other thing is that because you are authenticated with this account in their system, the rate limits are quite a bit higher than they would be if you run it on your own computer. So it makes it a lot easier to get information out of the wiki system. And to get started, like to understand how the PyWikibot system works, it's like I don't know how many of you already have worked with Python before, but you can just in the notebook, which we can also just open side by side.
Okay, do you want us to do this now?
Sure, if you want, you can go along with this. I think we might not have enough time to completely do it like live, but I can at least like showcase it a bit, and you can like on your own time follow along. I think given the time
Okay,
constraints,
okay,
it's maybe the best.
okay. So
But
you will be running it from your end. Will you be running it from your end right now?
Yeah, I will at least a bit, like not all of the bits, but so if we see like on the right side here, the Pulse website, you can, and again, it's linked here in the materials, so you can just launch Pause. And I don't know if any of you have used Jupyter before. It like will start now the server on the Wikimedia infrastructure. And once it's ready, it loads this environment.
Okay. I'd like us to give the participant a little background on what we are on to right now. Right now, please everybody. Right now we are trying to access wiki data, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Please everybody should listen. Right now we are trying to access wiki data, and it's trying to use an IDE, that's a tool. You know, many of us are prepared our studio. And remember I mentioned yesterday that we'll be doing a little of Python. Dr. Bianca shivered a little yesterday, but they've opened Python and nothing happened to you right now. So if you can, everybody, I've pasted the link to where Bastian is right now. If you can just quickly get to please can you post this URL to on the chat so that you can also open it on their own. Let's try and follow a little. Please, online participants, are you with us?
Yes, we are.
Okay, can you attempt to also open this Jupyter lab that Bastian is open to right now? Bastian, please can you post the link to the Jupyter
Yeah, I just
lab?
put the links in the chat. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, use any Wi-Fi to go online. Any Wi-Fi, use any internet to go online. Maybe your personal. Okay, we'll send it now. So, Bastian, are you sending the link?
Yeah, I already put the links in the chat.
Okay.
And yeah, so
okay, so those online, can you see the link, the last link that was sent? Sorry to keep you a little. Just want them to be able to follow.
Yes,
yeah, no worries.
You say what?
The one ending with pause.
Yes, the one ending with pause. Just copy the link, take it to your browser.
Okay.
And this will take you to, on the left here, the pause web shell.
You see the link now, please.
And then on the bottom here, you have the launch pause button. And in this case, it should, but if we do it in a new private window, it will ask you to sign in with your MediaWiki account. So you already should have made, like, if you haven't made it yet, you need to have like a Wikimedia, like a single user account. And in the material, which is the first link I shared, you can also find the link to create a user account. So if you click the create an account here,
They've sent the link.
it takes you to creating the account you need.
So everybody has to create a wiki account, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you haven't yet, then I put the link as well into the chat.
Okay, you can do that. You can do that, please.
He wants to do what?
He wants to send the link on how to create the wiki account. So, Alice.
Just tell him that we can actually guide them. They can. So he takes to okay. You have it. Please open. I don't know this one. Who doesn't have an account? These two. Just stand between them. Stand between them and then just guide.
So, Bastian, just be patient with us. Let's follow through.
No worries.
Yes, those online is online already. I think Alice, you picked it, right? Yes, he has dropped it. He has dropped it. Please, those online, can you follow up on what we are doing? Let us know if there's any itch.
And we're trying to create the
account. Okay.
Yes.
For those in the room, I don't know how many people are currently trying to make accounts, but based on what the Wikimedia Kenya folks said, if you can try to not all use the same Wi-Fi to make the account, that's better to avoid that, like it accidentally like looks like there's some spam attack on Wikipedia, because if it's too many people trying to make accounts from the same IP at the same time, they might actually lock down the registration for that IP for a while.
Bastian, please, can you hear me?
Yeah.
For the interface you have now, this up slash pause wmcloud.org.
Yeah.
I can't see the link.
So you need to go to the pause website here on the left. It's the wikitech.wikimedia.org/wiki/pause, which is also linked from the materials.
Yes.
And then you click on the launch pause below, which then will like log you in, and then it gives you your own like pause.
Can you take your arrow to the place? You mean the web shell?
So I mean, you need to like on this page.
I'm getting to this thing now. I need to log in my account. Yes.
Scroll down to
So one wiki account for all the wikis. So whether you click on like this,
launch pause.
Okay. Okay. Oh, so I have to sign in. You have to sign in with the account created.
Yes. Yes, you sign in with the account you just created, and then it will like show you like a little status bar when it like spins up your virtual server you're gonna be using. And then you end up on the same view as here that I have on the right side of my screen.
Okay. So, Eli, are you saying all of us should use the same account? One account created?
Yes. See, once you create an account, either on Wikidata or Wikipedia, you can use it for all the wikis. Okay. So you don't need to create another account with on pause, whether if you have a Wikidata account. So that was what I was saying. Okay. So your own account, you can use it for all the wikis.
I've not created any.
Your own account, you can use it for all the wikis.
I've not created any.
All right.
So how do you create it?
You can let's use wikidata.org. Very first wikidata.org. Or you can use wikidata.org.
So for the people online, like just to like repeat it, so you can go to like create an account anywhere in the wiki ecosystem. There's like the wikimedia.org, like the link that's in the materials, but equally if you go to the English Wikipedia and say create account at the top here, if you go to the create account at the top of Wikipedia, like the account you make with this will equally work for pause. As it's like a unified account. It doesn't matter where in the Wikimedia ecosystem you made an account. As long as you've made one anywhere, you can reuse it for logging in into pause. How are folks online doing? Did the account creation work for everyone? And did you manage to log in?
Did you know this thing, eh? When I got home yesterday, I was telling my husband about some of the things I learned. I was like, this was exactly what they said I should go and look for archive data now. So don't worry, I'm going to listen.
How are folks doing in the room? Yeah, and if folks in the room need any help, I think you have like already some very competent local Wikimedian help in the room, but if there's anything we can do online, let us know as well.
Hello, Bastian. Please, are you down to ask a question?
Gives you access to Wikipedia. And with this like library, you need to define which like Wikipedia project you are interested in, which is called the website in a way that of Wikipedia or MediaWiki, which in our case we want to use the English language edition of Wikipedia. And then you say which actual page in the Wikipedia you're interested in. And for demonstration purposes, we just like look for the computational social sciences page in the English language Wikipedia. So like then it effectively becomes again in the English language Wikipedia, we look for the computational social science. And then we get like a variable called page, which contains like the actual Wikipedia page for the computational social science. And then you can do things like print the title of the page, which of course the title is just computational social science, as that's what we used. But you can also like get the whole text of the article, and then you get, and this is just the beginning of the article, the actual content of the Wikipedia page. Okay. I see there's a question for the view. Like, again, share the link. How are people otherwise doing?
So instead of it to write code, you say add this and divide that. There's already a function in Excel where you just call it and in brackets put your numbers, comma, then you run it. So you close it. That's like a library in Excel. So in Python and other programming language, there are other packages like that. So we are trying to install or import the library that we would need in the process of accessing data. And one of them is this PyWiki bot. So that's the first code that we've just done. Do you understand? So copy it, then run it. Copy the code, then run it.
Run this cell and advance.
To run the code, once you've selected like a code bit like the one up here, like you can make an edit, whatever, you can press the little play button, which runs the code within like this little window. And then you get like another window, like, or like another little cell below where you can run the next code, which like has everything in memory that like has you run in the other cells already.
Screenshots.
Please, those online, any challenge? Okay, Bastian, I think we can move on. So we've been able to import the first library.
Please, there is big challenge, Joe. Don't move on, please.
Okay,
so I've not been able to.
What do you want me to do?
I go
The
to
thing
this empty
has been
space.
frozen since. I can't even hear. At my end here, it has been frozen.
For me, I was able to get to this. I was able to run the something, but I just got to this empty page, this untitled page. So what next?
Okay. See, if you have any challenge, maybe you can send screenshots in the WhatsApp group. Let's follow up from there.
Yes, it is. I've done that.
So
I've done that already.
So once you have like ended up with like the empty notebook, you can like start importing the library, the PyWikibot that we need. And then you can get or like access your first page in Wikipedia. So for this, you need to first define like which type of Wikipedia or which project of Wikipedia you would like to access. And that works by using the PyWikibot site. And we are interested in the English language, so the EN and then Wikipedia. And that just tells like the library later on like which of the many wiki projects we are interested in. We could also say we are interested in the French one and the German one and the Spanish one and so on. And there's not just Wikipedia, as the Wikimedians explained yesterday, there are things like the Wiktionary. So if we were looking for dictionary definitions, we would say Wiktionary here instead. Or if we were looking for Wikidata, we would, instead of using the language edition and Wikipedia, we would just use Wikidata instead. But for now, we just say we are interested in the English language Wikipedia. And the first page we want to look at for simplicity is the computational social sciences. So we're interested in looking at the Wikipedia page in this wiki project that we've defined up here. So the site we've defined here, and computational social science. And if we run this, you can press the little triangle here. It gives us it runs the code you wrote here. And now if we look at the page, we had a typo. The computational social science. We run this again to get the correct page and say title, for example, and then it gives us the title of the page. Or we can say we are interested in the text of the page, and it gives us the actual text of this Wikipedia page that we've now just accessed and have available in our code to work with more. Are people able to follow along thus far?
Please, can you zoom out the Jupyter notebook for them to see?
Wait, let me make it full screen and bigger. Is this better?
Yeah, making a code.
Yes.
Come.
I'm trying to write the code. I'm
You're
correct.
trying to write the code online. Come on, see the code you have written here. The same, yeah, as you're seeing
Whatever you've seen here, just write it like that. Just write it like this. Just write it like this. Just write it like this. Just write it. And then, bro, please. Austin, please help.
Okay. So we're typing it out then, but don't wait for the own.
No, just show him with right. Let me
Right.
just show him.
The way that they come. They are training us live training.
You are doing what? No, yes, so just write import PYWIKIBOT. Then press space bar. Press enter. Then press space bar. It will bring you down. SIT site space equal to space BYWIKIBOT dot site open bracket. Please, the inverted comma you are using is not the double. It's a single. If you put it double, it will give you something else. If you put this double, not this double inverted now, it's single. It will give you. Please, this is single. Don't put square brackets. I'll send the code to the WhatsApp. No, see, I'll prepare you right. If you just copy the code, you may not be. Just write. Just write. Even if it's going to take time, but just write. Just write it one by one. And the P is capital, the S is capital for page and side.
You can copy from
this page. This P is capital. Okay, this P. No, this P is capital. This S is capital.
Did you see the dot there?
Yeah, there's a dot now. Yes.
That's a concatenation.
There's a space before this comma. There's a space before the comma. See it. EN space comma. Then you keep space. Do the same thing for the side. Is there a space after? For the side? No, there's no space for the side. There's no there's no space. It's because of the character. That's the usual behavior of people. This guy. Yeah, that's the usual behavior of that. No space. Sorry. I've sent it. Mama, you will get this at the end of the day. Bro, we're together. Sorry, after that, the code is on the so that title and then page. Please, after this one, you run. After this one, click on this play sign. The way you write it to this point, click here, and it will. No. He has moved. He has cleared it. Yes. From 1,500 to 150 now. Just right. Do you need to highlight for your mom? No. No, wait. When you reach here, awesome. So when they reach it, they should run or they should write this one also.
But that is separate cell.
This they should run.
Please let us hear this. See, the advantage of using standard book is that it allows us to run our code in chunks. You understand? So this is a different cell. If it were to be in other IDs, you will have all of this in one code. So if you have run this before and you want to test this will also start again from the beginning before you can get to this. But the advantage of this cell is that you can run only this. So when you see this partition like this, click this plus. So you had another cell. Yes, to write this one.
So when you are done writing here, click this plus sign, and it will give you another to write this. When you are done with this, click again. Okay, this one. He ran this one.
Which block sign? I didn't see the block sign.
No, plus.
This one here.
Plus sign.
Yes, the addition sign.
There are two. Is it the one up or the one down?
The one before the scissors.
The one before the scissors. Okay. Okay. Oh, I've seen it.
After this, you don't run. Now.
And the ask.
So when you are done with this, please, you run. It will give you this.
Yes, that would be the output.
Meaning that you're correct. That means that I'm not correct. I mean, it's our gospel.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Please, I need somebody to just help me start it from the beginning. I'm lost. Thank you.
Just explain something.
Okay, I was asking of screenshots for us to know where you are. Can you send a screenshot on the
Yes,
general
I
WhatsApp?
sent a screenshot to the WhatsApp group, please. I sent a screenshot to the WhatsApp group.
Okay, I will check now.
Let me resend.
No, don't worry. Okay, I've seen where you are. Click on that Python 3 that you are seeing on the screen. Python 3, can you see?
Sir?
Have you Python 3? Can you see Python 3? That first Python 3.
Okay, I'm coming.
Yes, click on it. Click on it.
I think I know it. Someone else. No problem.
Python 3.
Yes, click on it.
Python 3, this one,
Yes, you can
under
see
the
it.
notebook label,
Where
the
is it?
Python
Oh, I'm
3.
not seeing it.
Look, that screenshot you sent to me now, the first icon you are seeing, click on it.
Wikipedia Foundation.
No, notebook.
Hold on.
Ask her to share her screen if possible. Can you share her screen?
Or can you share your screen? Just quickly share your screen. Let's see.
Ask Pastor.
Okay.
Ask Pastor to stop sharing. Let her share.
Don't worry. You mentioned start sharing. Basim, please, we are sorry. Just to carry her along. Please, we are sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I can stop the screen share so that someone else can get support.
Okay. So, look, please share your screen.
Yes, I'm trying to.
So, look, please share your screen.
Okay, I'll share now. This is your screen.
Python here now.
Just share your screen. Let's
Can you see it now? Yes,
Okay.
this is where I am. Can you see it now?
Okay.
This is your screen. You are making progress now.
This is our screen.
So, I'm just waiting for the next
That's
instruction.
Tolu. I'm the one they asked to share screen.
Yes, Tolu, you are seeing your screen.
Okay, I think it's your Sakbo that wants to share screen, but this is for Tolu. Tolu, you are on your page. Yeah, okay. Tolu, you don't have any issue now.
All right, thank you.
Yes,
I'm just waiting for the next code to write.
So you can unshare, remove yourself from this screen. Let Osako share our own screen. Osako, share your own. I don't think I have that access.
I don't know how to share screen, no, sorry.
Okay. You know how to share screen?
I don't know how to share screen. I'm trying to use it because I'm using my phone.
No.
Okay, sorry, you cannot use your phone.
Sorry.
But I'm starting up my laptop now. But that page I sent you just now, that's where I am.
Okay, don't worry.
Basic data assets.
Okay, or let's just do it like this. Just keep following up. We can have another section with you and put you through. Do you get me?
All right. It's okay.
Okay, Pastor, please, can you go ahead, please, Pastor? Thank you.
I'm just all the participants. Yes, you have.
Please, can you help with the next set of instruction? Because I couldn't finish up before the screen sharing was suspended.
Share the screen.
Okay, don't worry. Basim will share the screen again so you can see his code.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Yep, it's coming up in a second. There we go, hopefully.
So why is mine wrong? You are from South Northwest.
So, oops, let me close this as well.
This one was, yeah. So is it the computer?
So I think the thing is the easiest, maybe given that everyone is like working a bit in their own speed, is like if you go to the materials that we've shared, which you have here on the left, they have all the code in bits and pieces that you can actually go through, like to then do the different bits of it. So far we've done what we've done is we got a single article out of Wikipedia, and then the next steps will be looking at who are the authors of this article. So what we can do is we go to page.authorship, and this will show us who edited this article. And what it shows us for like those now, what we can see here is the different types of users. So you have users that have like a user account, so they are having a proper like username attached to it. Then you have like the IP addresses for people who in the past edited an article, but they didn't make an account. And the other thing that I mentioned was these temporary accounts, which users are now assigned to if they don't make an account, but to which like keep the IP address hidden. And this is like an IPv6, like another IP address. So the last two are like anonymous users who edited a while ago. Then you have like a more recent anonymous editor and two editors who contributed under their usernames. And what you have in this tuplet of two numbers is this is the number of bytes. So how much text did they contribute to the current like state of the computational social science articles in terms of the actual length? And then you have the percentage. So 23% of the current computational social science article was written by Matti and 20% by Oyerdan. And so you can see the authorship of how the article looks like today. And I think it cuts off every editor who edited less than 5% is not included in the current authorship level, if you look at it. And the other thing you can do now is authorship. It's only for the current article, but you might also be interested to look at the contributors in general, not just the people who edited like the current state, but whoever touched the article. And then what you get is you get this list of edits of all the editors and how many edits they made.
Okay, what's that? Some of the code are there.
Sorry?
Check your WhatsApp. Some of the codes are there.
Where's the feedback coming from? No. I'm on the wrong one. See, how when you play Python, I did the wrong Python. The wrong Python. I did on the wrong Python.
Do we just copy and paste the code?
No. Yes, check WhatsApp. You see there.
Okay.
Check
Yes,
WhatsApp.
you can just copy and paste the things to then get the same output. So now we've looked at like the number of contributors and we can see how many edits those contributors made. And we can already see some of the bots, like the citation bot here, who made 6 edits to the article. And the next thing we can also look at is the page revisions, where like looking at the last edits made to the article and when they were made and by whom. And if we just copy the code from this for that and run this, take a while, and we can see the computational social science article has 136 revisions to the article, and we can see the last edits made. So we see the article was edited the last time, mid-May, by someone who said, because people also in Wikipedia need to leave a comment of what type of edit they made and why. This person said they replaced one URL that was a citation using, and instead used like this template to like format the citation more nicely. And another edit was made then like in February this month, and we can see it was a bot who replaced like a broken link or like a link that didn't use the HTTPS but just the HTTP link. And again, it was like an automated edit by a bot to just like help improve Wikipedia in this automated way. And to get those, what you can get is to just like go to the page.revisions function, and then you get these revisions, and each revision you get that you, if you make like a small loop, gets like these informations like who was the person who edited, when did they make the edit, and what comment did they leave. And yes, by default, what you will not see is the revision text of how an article looked like at a given moment in time. But if instead of using page revisions, you use page revisions content equals true, it will include the actual revision text. So if you want to go back in time and like get information out of Wikipedia about how a Wikipedia article looked like in the past, you can also do this and see like the older versions of the articles. Lastly, maybe as like another thing you can do with like a page is look at the page categories, because in Wikipedia you will see that pages have categories at the end of them. If we go to computational social sciences, to the actual Wikipedia article, and we make this big enough to see, you see at the very bottom here, there is like the categories in which a given article is classified. And the article for computational social sciences is beyond an actual like category for like humans, which is the computational social sciences. It's also like in many different categories that are more for like the Wikipedia editors for understanding the type of page and like whether it needs work. So for example, the computational social sciences article is classified as one that is in need of updating, and it has been in this category from March 2024. So for a while, Wikipedia editors say this article should be improved, but no one has yet gotten around to actually doing these improvements. So this is like some very basic like ways of accessing information about Wikipedia pages using the APIs that like we can then use here in the Jupyter notebooks to just like redo like these analysis. And of course, you can do the same with like many different articles by just giving a list of articles instead of looking at a single one, or by looking at categories. How are people doing so far? People being able to run the code from the materials.
Okay, we are at category now. Maybe you can give a little time, just if you can pause a little for others to catch up to the category level.
Yeah.
So Tolu, are you at the category level?
Not yet, though.
Okay, but are you seeing the code on WhatsApp or on the
I just
website?
saw it now on
Okay, just
WhatsApp,
keep
so I'll
copying
follow
them
through.
in.
But how do I run? What do I press to run? He said we should run. He
That
said, well, what
run,
should we click to run? I didn't see that.
when you get to Jupyter notebook, just click this. You know that play button sign, that triangle sign.
Yes.
And you
Oh,
click on
that's
it.
what
After,
it means. Okay.
yeah, that's run. So Python is not back to me. Python is not.
So, please, the code that has prints on it, is it a single code?
That has print in bracket cat.
I can't hear you.
That has print cat, Abby.
that has print that begins with print.
And next is cat, Abby.
For cat in page.
Yes, and the next is cat.
Yes. So when you paste that, then go and click
So for the printing in general, like you can use the double quotes like for writing text. So
it's just doing it now. There's a new one. Okay, it's trying to show you how the print statement works. But this one now, it's just trying to show you how the print statement works. It's not a very complex thing. So you can even put your name in this place, print Bianca, then the output will be Bianca.
It's a bit confusing, but what?
Please, can somebody remove
your hand?
It says something.
Oh. Somebody in the comments.
It's trying to show you how.
Say something.
It's a bit confusing, but that will run one block of a code at a time. Yes, one block, that's one cell at each of these at a time. So the block that must be run, you put your cursor there. Then go and click. So if you want to put, if you want to work on the first one, you take your cursor to the first one, then click run there. So
you can see the connection like of these blocks by like the color highlights. You see this is the input of the block or the cell that you like wrote the code, and this is the corresponding output that came out of it.
Bro. You want to try that thing? You just try that now. Right now, it's ready. I didn't my name. They just bracket up. Yeah, put your name inside. Just put your name. No, put your name. Yes. Shift and close the bracket. Shift. Not space bar. Shift and close the bracket. Shift. Close the bracket. Yes. Then run.
Python and programming, you'll be good.